So I am placed in Dandoli, which is in Gumla, Jharkhand. Uh, in this hamlet, whatever things come through conversation or whatever it is, it always revolves around alcoholism or the alcohol thing. People like it and people do not like it. So there had been a lot of confusion. So I'll just read out the paper what I had sent yesterday. So it is understanding the complex relationship between alcohol and violence, creating a room of one's own. So in this presentation, I will try to bring into light that precaution is better than cure, and at times one does not realize the cure provided or cure taken can also be wrong. In our society, we see an alcoholic as that patient who is infected from incurable disease and is neglected or cornered. In my village, women leaving their husband because they are alcoholic does not really settles down in my mind. In a group meeting, women clearly say that they are the producers and they want to destroy the production. At the same time, they themselves agree that this is not the solution. Dandoli, it is similar to all the hamlets around and yet it is different. Men drink in the adjacent hamlet too, but it is an issue only in Dandoli. Why? What I see is that here the question is not about a drunk man, but what hides under this habit or addiction. How the culture is becoming something that makes people unacceptable in the larger domain. Through conversation with boys and the women, it seems like Hariya is not the need as it used to be in the past when one woman says, हम अपने बच्चों को चाय या दूध भी दे सकते हैं, लेकिन हम खुद ही उन्हें हड़िया पे ग्लास पकड़ा देते हैं कि ले बेटा अपना पेट ठंडा कर ले. And when boy says, इसका टेस्ट अच्छा लगता है और पी के आने के बाद हम चुपचाप सो जाते हैं ताकि घर पर पता ना चले. मतलब everyone knows and somewhere they agree कि कुछ गलत है, but still. Therefore, the question that comes to my mind it is whether one needs to put aside the alcoholic or whether there is a need to reflect on alcoholism to understand that relationship between alcohol and violence. Can it be done by realization of the self by an alcoholic? Self-realization hence leading to self-transformation, and when one understands the self, the other can also be felt. I mean, if I understand myself, then I can probably somewhat sense the feelings or the emotions of the person in front of me. If an alcoholic person understands himself कि उसको वाकई में ज़रूरत है पीने की या फिर वो पीने के बाद जो कर रहा है वो करना चाहता है, अगर if he understands that, then he can probably also understand what he is doing and what is the impact of his doings on the other person, the person in front of him. Transference, counter-transference and shadow projection are three unconscious mechanisms that can hinder our relationships. Being aware of their manifestation can prevent their negative influence from creating conflict and turmoil in one relationship. Whenever I am in this hamlet, the drinking habit of man is always highlighted. Initially, I also felt like it is the alcoholism in a man that creates it is an alcoholic man that creates any and every problem for a woman there. For a while, I also started looking at this from the lens that the state is looking at Bihar, and even the women in my Toli looks at the problem of alcoholic and not the alcoholism. The only solution I could see around was destroying the production and or either banning it, as it had been taken up in the past also. Women's anti-alcohol agitation in the early 60s in northern hills of Uttarakhand, or the Gandhian method of fasting in protest against alcoholism. All this focused on action against manufacturers and sellers of alcohol, were successful in creating widespread disapproval of alcohol consumption and sale, but not banished either alcohol or alcoholism from the area. Breaking, banning, rehabilitation centers, etc. I felt maybe they are not the way. I feel that some realization, as I spoke earlier also, can change the perception of an alcoholic person. These all protest and ban are in itself problem, because at times the way one looks at a problem in itself is a bigger problem. Paul says in his book Alcoholic to Alchemist, continue to believe that my drinking destroyed my life. or reinterpret the experience and view it as the catalyst that defined my future fulfillment. But then I was also trapped with the question when I drink and lose control over my senses, what do I really do? I'm not a regular drinker. I drink occasionally, but then I have also seen people or friends around who drink on a regular basis. But then there are differences in the way they behave. So I was thinking what it is that marks the difference. And then I was also thinking what happened to a man who very inhumanly beats up his wife every night and is forgiven by the wife herself because he was drunk. He simply forgets that she is the one whom he claims to love more than anyone in the world, or he forgets that she is the human serving him throughout the day, or she is just a human. I feel like this alcoholism is amazing. It is okay कि कुछ भी करो और वो एक मजे से excuse बन जाता है. तो अच्छा ये पी लो और कुछ भी कर लो उसमें. This is what I feel, and but the sarpanch of my village says once जब when a woman comes to her and says कि my husband has an extramarital affair and I want every one of you to be present there so that it makes my background strong so that I can put forward my point कि something is going wrong in my life. तो sarpanch says हाँ आ जाएंगे. This was her कि हाँ आ जाएंगे. And then when I spoke to her कि आप लोग जाएंगे तो what you will be doing in that meeting, then she says कि यहाँ तो रोज़ का यही काम है, हर दूसरे का एक्स्ट्रा मैरिटल अफेयर होता है, जाके फाइनेंशियल हेल्प के लिए बोल सकते हो, उससे ज़्यादा हम कुछ नहीं कर सकते. So it becomes very necessary for one to understand what is it that हड़िया is used to hide. मतलब कि I don't feel कि हड़िया is something कि हाँ it is said कि हाँ पिया है तो ठीक है, लेकिन कुछ something is beneath it कि what is being hidden. It seems like they are not carrying forward their tradition or the need of hadiya, but there is a constant battle with alcohol and fear. Maybe it can be the fear of being poor, being unemployed, uneducated, whatever it is. But these can be something, but what? When an old father sits outside the house and sees the children of her daughter playing, and he says, I was having this conversation and these children were playing and the man was sitting and I was also sitting there. तो he says कि क्या करें, जब तक जिंदा है करना ही पड़ेगा, हमारी ही बेटी है और पीने के बाद बहुत मारता था तो हम ले आए. तो I said कि
work which has just been completed on marijuana, the social life of marijuana. Now people might be thinking, such an exciting work, where was the field work? It was exactly in Malana, and great, and it's been videotaped also. It's a very exciting work on social life of marijuana, and it's to that work I speak. Because when you're, and this is a discussion that came up also to do with water yesterday, it is also important, I think, when we are working on, when you're working on a certain substance, to understand what is the life of that substance in a particular context. And I think Rukmini's concern about hadiya, that do women drink, not drink, who makes it in the first place? Does it come from outside, inside, all of this? This is a sense, I am sure it is all there. And I'm sure you have tracked the life of the hadiya. Because without tracking the life of the hadiya, when does an hadiya become an alcoholism? Right? Consumption of hadiya to alcoholism, there is a mapping that is happening. There's a lot of things that are happening. So what is this life of the hadiya? That is a question, and if you could share with us a little bit more, because I'm sure there is material. Because when you said yes, of course women drink. And I think that would give us a way out to look into, what is this that makes it alcoholism. And so how do you work through it? Because if communities have always, and all sorts of spaces, all sorts of communities have, if they have produced alcohol, they have a code also of consumption of alcohol. is it ritualized? Because in case of, and this is where the marijuana work is interesting, that people used to sit in a circle and consume. So the, what is it called? The pot in which you consume marijuana, the chillum. The chillum used to be passed from the senior person. What? The chillum used to be passed from the senior person to the youngermost person. So there is also something that is happening there. There's a, you can only read it as initiation, but you can also read it something, so what is that space? And these spaces, there will always be certain spaces where people will gather to drink. It's not that, we always sit in our drawing rooms and drink, right? And many times, people may drink in their study. And there are many times when people can drink in their kitchen spaces. There is many. So what is this designated space that is marked? Is there a designated space? Because in ritual, and the idea of the ritual stated that follow that idea of the ritual because it will give you a way to map this space. And when did it become a problem of alcoholism? That would remain an important context. But how to go with it? Because it's a very tight rope. I feel, like Monica is walking on that when will it slip into a morality issue? This is what Irina said, the other day when she was talking, right? I think she said, when prosperity आया, उसके बाद liquor shops खुले, उसके बाद men started drinking. Then like they started off with this thing that men, if the men want to drink, they should take permission from the women, right? So how much of that will not translate into a morality issue? Because and this is where the context will become important. Morality is not only about the ethics of doing right and wrong. It is also about saying, where can I draw a line? Or drawing a line is not like a negative sort of thing. This is a time that is over. So if there is a sort of a history to that, maybe one can, because this is also linked to other sorts of physical violence that is happening. So nobody wants people to drink and beat up people, whoever it is. And here I'm saying whoever it is because, this is where, I think your work adds that richness, that what happens, because you missed out a very important thing and I think you should have begun with that you yourself was not allowed to stay in the village. I think you should have begun with that vignette that you faced a lot of resistance. The women were not comfortable having Monica stay in the village because of this alcoholism problem. It says something about it. It speaks a lot. If you had just begun with that experience, if you had opened your presentation with an experience, that would have spoken for itself. Why it should be looked at from the point of alcoholism, and when did Haria become an alcoholism would have been the, that is the point. Because I think that you have the version.
Very strong, especially in the 1970s. They had this phrase called Khalali Todo Jharkhand Lo. Basically take the bottle to Jharkhand. And it was very popular in that area. Now, there are two very distinct strands of literature on alcohol. One which says that the miner, after the laborer has worked all day, uses alcoholism as a mechanism to take back the wage that he had just given. So there is that exploitation / control anger that is spoken of when you read about alcoholism in Jharkhand. The other is that is the hegemonic moral code of conduct order that you should not drink, which is being imposed on a tribal society, which has a certain culture, ritualized occasions of drinking and dancing as well. Okay, so actually in one of the constitution, governmental categorization of tribe or who is a tribe, the 1962 Bhabur Commission actually says in one of its qualifying criteria is, has a propensity to drink and dance. That's the phrase in describing who a tribal is. So there is that notion of alcoholism as well when you're looking in that context. Now, the point that Ishita was making is, till what point it remains this cultural thing called Hadiya? And when does it become this medical / sociological issue called alcoholism? That becomes an extremely important point. Yes, men drink and women also drink. And some of the first years with whom we went to a village, remember we carried a woman back and she had Hadiya, and it was a festival, day of festival. So she was like, "Rather be," and we are allowed to make 5 liters of it. I'll keep 5 liters of it. इस त्योहार के दिन में हम ज़्यादा रख सकते हैं और आज भी सब पिएंगे. Now she wasn't saying it as a moral order. पीना चाहिए या नहीं पीना चाहिए. She was saying it as a cultural practice. आज सब पीते हैं. Okay, because it's a festival. So she was coming from there, and then she was like, she even asked me, "Would you like some?" I was like, "नहीं, ठीक है."
Just to add on, but then that day when we were meeting those women from the SFGs, one woman was really old and the others was very young. The old woman said कि हम पीते हैं, अब आजकल की लड़कियां नहीं पी रही.
Yes.
So
that's where you have these 3 things coming: the cultural part, the exploitative labor angle, and the entire alcoholism, domestic violence, new moral order, whatever, an entire set of practices where new women don't do a lot of things that old women used to do, or the younger generation is not doing a lot of things that the older generation. Now, the point about from where it shifts into that moment, I think, is a very difficult question to inquire into because of the form that it has taken now. So, if Ishita, I'm sure, has during a Jharkhand visit seen these places next to trees or shady area where there's a woman sitting with 5 utensils filled with honey, selling it. People coming, sitting and drinking in cups made of leaves or donuts or drinking in glasses. And it has become a, so to speak, sociological site that you look at. There was this guy, Suman, among your seniors, and he was like, he used to spend a lot of time in that place. Me and Rajesh were like, it's such an important site of socialization that people need, and the point that she was saying about the life of marijuana and how that becomes an interesting place. All those things are like something that looking at just that, then you have to keep in mind. Okay, where is it that you do? Beyond the line, so to speak, I should also be quite well.
So we understood the context pretty well. But what are you planning? So yeah.
And just to add to Bhavya's point, some of us are from the same location. You have a personal take on this also. In that sense, you have the question itself, which is very important to come out in that sense, which Ishita rightly mentioned. I never thought of this, but this is a very important point what she's talking about, that you were never allowed to stay in that place because of a reason that you're promoting this problem. So when she's asking about the transformational access, I think in this kind of a question, in this kind of problem, you are very much there. All of us are there, but the problem is very acute in your sense, which you have picked up. And therefore it becomes very important for you to talk about where are you in this and what are you looking for in that sense.
अब ये लड़कियां जो है दारू नहीं पीती, तो बहुत जगह से देखा गया दूसरी एग्जाम्पल देकर कि कोई घर होता है जहाँ पे मतलब कोई बाउंड्री वगैरह नहीं होता, सब साथ में खेत में अपने काम करके सब करते हैं, और उसके घर में अगर जॉब लग जाता है तो अगर वो कहीं जाता है बाहर, उसके घर में देखता है कि पास कोई अगर उससे बड़ा है, मजबूत है, तो देखता है कि उसके घर में पर्दा वगैरह है, तो जैसे उसको नौकरी लगता है, जैसे उसके घर में पैसा वगैरह आने लगता है, तो बाहर पे उसके अपने फैमिली को जाना बंद कर देता है कि नहीं, और पर्दे लगाना सब चीज़ स्टार्ट कर देते हैं। तो ये हो सकता है कि मतलब जैसे जैसे मतलब लोग चीज़ें को मतलब देखता है, समझता है, और समाज में क्या हो रहा है ना उसको फॉलो करने लगता है। गलत है या सही है
आजकल की लड़कियां नहीं पी रही हैं उसका एक इन्फ्लुएंस इट विल नॉट
वहाँ पे क्या था कि एक स्पेसिफिक एज ग्रुप एक एल्डर वुमेन ही हड़िया कंज्यूम करते थे, यंगर वुमेन नहीं करते थे। और उस टाइम से एक सवाल भी है कि ये एज कौन सी होती है जहाँ पे women actually start consuming honey? Because younger women who were like 3-4 years into marriage, they did not consume honey. It was just elder women who consumed honey. So I was always intrigued by the fact that अच्छे कौन सी एज से पीना भी शुरू करते हैं। And it was an observation that came across while talking to people कि नहीं हम नहीं पीते, हमारी सास पीती है।
I don't think it's about age. I think it's about generation.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, that also.
No, okay. Now age thing is not, I think age thing in this context, if we make it important, then it becomes a problem because there's also an assumption. Then we are also, because please understand, there's also a statist interpretation of the age
Exactly.
that is there, right? So we have that existing framework. And then, if we take the same track of the age, because in many cases the birth records, then we are trying to, identify people by numbers. And yeah, so do we want to take that project, I'm saying, is it worth exploring in our practice framework from that angle? Because
That's why I'm asking the question of action.
Yeah.
I don't know
Then we
why
can research alcoholism.
why they
Aspects to the experience of life, and people.
no, complete your point.
It was that there's a very huge cultural aspect that one has to take care and take sense of when dealing with something like alcoholism.
I don't know. So I was just talking to Bhavya as well. And this is just a different way of looking at the 2 points that she could not stay in the village because women feared that men in drunk state can do something. Right? So is she actually working on alcoholism or that fear and what comes out of it? And how to redress that rather than the other people?
I just want to say, and now I'm realizing कि हाँ ठीक है, मेरे को भी तो. Then what I'm trying to highlight is कि women of the village produce hadiya and they also consume it. The only section जो नहीं पीता है that is the girls, okay, and men and boys. But one thing also I saw is कि जो लड़के हैं वो छुप के पीते हैं. मतलब if it is सरस्वती पूजा they drink, कोई कुछ नहीं बोलेगा. I was there while during that सरस्वती पूजा period. तो लड़कों ने किया था and they were not that इतना scared वाला चीज़. मतलब किसी का कोई डर या एक बोलते ना कि
कुछ गलत नहीं किया.
हाँ कुछ गलत नहीं किया. लेकिन बट अभी जब I was there and I was talking to these boys and I was talking on हड़िया only, तो they were like कि पीते हैं लेकिन चुपचाप आके सो भी जाते हैं. They keep this thing in mind कि किसी को पता ना चले कि हाँ हमने पिया है. And then one boy say कि इतनी एज के बाद पीना acceptable है शायद विलेज में. तो अभी वो उससे पहले पीता या नहीं पीता that is up to him, he discloses that or not. तो and the single women in my village जो बार बार बोलती है कि मेरे शादी मेरे को हस्बैंड छोड़ा, मैंने हस्बैंड को छोड़ा बिकॉज ही यूज्ड टू ड्रिंक एंड मेरे को मारता था. मैंने हस्बैंड को छोड़ा बिकॉज कि मैं प्रेग्नेंट थी और मेरा ध्यान नहीं दिया या फिर बच्चों का ध्यान नहीं रखा इसलिए आई लेफ्ट हिम एंड सेवरल अदर थिंग्स. तो इस वजह से आई वाज आल्सो फोकसिंग ऑन दिस थिंग कि इफ आई माई सेल्फ अंडरस्टैंड दिस एल्कोहलिज्म as a condition or as an experience, and if I understand and I am saying it as an experience because I लिखा है कहीं पे alcoholism as an experience now because I think or feel like for now they have already been in that condition. For years they have been drinking and they have been in that state. तो कहीं ना कहीं I don't know they realize I have no idea क्योंकि मुझे बहुत डर लगता है उनसे बात करने में और वो भी ऐसे रेड आइज करके देखते होते. वॉइस से बात कर लेती हूँ, ठीक है, बट दिस टाइम आई एम थिंकिंग कि आई ट्राई एक ही जम से, बट स्टिल आई ट्राई टू हैव द कॉन्वर्सेशन एंड आई वाज थिंकिंग कि अगर इफ दिस रियलाइजेशन कम ऑन द पार्ट ऑफ द इवन वन बॉय फ्रॉम दैट ग्रुप, वो जो लड़का बोल रहा है आज की तारीख में कि मैं अपनी बीवी को एक थप्पड़ भी मारूंगा, वो ठीक है क्योंकि वो नहीं सुन रही, लेकिन इफ ही रियलाइजेस, क्योंकि अभी उसके माइंड में आई फेल दैट थिंग, उसके माइंड में कहीं ना कहीं होगा कि भाई मेरे घर के सामने जो रह रहे हैं कपल, वो रोज रात में पीने के बाद मारता है, इट इज जस्टिफाइड टू सम एक्सटेंट बिकॉज द विलेजर्स आर नॉट पेइंग अटेंशन एंड दे आर सेइंग कि पीने के बाद मारा, दोनों पीते हैं, पति पत्नी दोनों पीते, पत्नी पीती है तो वो क्यों नहीं मार रही है, पिया तो उसने लिया पर वो पिट रही है, तो इट इज समवेयर आई फील कि समवेयर इट इज देयर इन हर माइंड कि हाँ मेरा काम पिटने का है, पति इज बिटिंग हर, तो ही नोज कि मैं मार सकता हूँ या मेरा काम मारने का है। तो इफ दैट बॉय, इवन वन बॉय रियलाइजेस और फील्स कि एक जब मैं किसी पे हाथ उठाता हूँ तो सामने वाले इंसान को कैसा लगता है एंड क्या वो हाथ उठाना किस हद तक सही है, इफ दैट बॉय रियलाइजेस, तो मेरे को लगता है कि इन फ्यूचर अपनी लाइफ में अपने पार्टनर पे ही वोंट, दैट इज व्हाट
I think Monica, there is just a minute. I think what you presented and what you're repeatedly saying is that the connection between alcoholism and violence is futile. It doesn't necessarily. जब तुम ये बोल रही हो कि जो बंदा बाइक चला के 20 किलोमीटर पीकर आता है, वो कैसे जस्टिफाई करता है कि मैं अपनी बीवी को मार के लेकिन मैं होश में नहीं था, and we are not taking that seriously. We are continuously lapsing into alcoholism. और वायलेंस का इशू फिर एंड वन थिंग, उसकी रियलिटी क्या है, उन्हें एक्चुअली वहाँ पे काम करने की जरूरत है कि देयर इज व्हाई इज दिस वायलेंस, सो द रीजन दैट इज बीइंग जस्टिफाइड, that it is being justified with is alcoholism, but you are again and again saying, which is also what feminist literature is saying, that there is no necessary relation between alcoholism and violence, and you are also saying that, but then so where do we research? It becomes a very important aspect.
नो आई एम सेइंग कि देर इट इज नॉट नेसेसरी कि रिलेशन है अल्कोहल और वायलेंस के बीच में, अल्कोहल और वायलेंस के बीच में कहीं ना कहीं आई एम सेइंग अल्कोहलिज्म।
What you are saying is not there is no word beyond.
I think the action might be on realizing that like not to you might be like the same way. One time in one of my village एक दीदी बोला था, और दूसरा एक दीदी है उसको भैया, वो पिया तो भैया नहीं पीते हैं, तो वो भाई दीदी ठीक नहीं है, then भैया भैया is beating her. Then in the another house, भैया पी के आया, then मार, and in the same way, like alcoholism and the relation is not there, but you were saying that there is some relation also. I don't know. Like some point she was telling that in the villages there might that there is some relation.
आई एम जस्ट ट्राइंग टू से कि क्लास या बिना पिए हाथ उठाए और तब औरत बोले, क्या बोलेगी, तब वो बोले, आई एम सेइंग दिस थिंग।
जैसे मतलब अगर उसका पति से पीटा था, अगर उस पत्नी से पूछे क्यों मारा, बोला कि पी कर मार दिया, तो हम उससे पूछेंगे तुम क्यों मारा, तो उन्हें उसका रिएक्शन आया कि अरे इसमें तो खाना उन्हें नहीं बनाया, झाड़ू नहीं लगाया,
रिएक्शन ये भी तो आता है कि इमोशनल को
ये विनिशा है।
पता नहीं हल्के से परिवर्तन हो गया है, ठीक है, ये सब चीज़ पर ध्यान रखना। उसके बाद ये सोचते कि ह्यूमन बीइंग्स का एक बहुत ही अपना एक वैसा नार्सिसिज्म की कल्चर उन्हें बनाया है, नीचे को वो टेम करते हैं और वो सब कुछ बनाते हैं रिचुअल वगैरह, बट इशिता हमेशा यूज़ करती नॉन ह्यूमन मेरा बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग पॉइंट है हमेशा से। ये हड़िया है, ठीक है, हड़िया किस तरह से वहाँ के कल्चर सोसाइटी को शेपअप कर रहा है, उस विलेज के लोगों का आपस में, शायद अगर हम लोग ये ट्रैजेक्टरी देख लेंगे हरिया के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से, नॉट कि कौन उनके मार रहा है या फिर कौन से एज ग्रुप के लड़कियाँ पी रही है या नहीं पी रही है, आई गेस अगर हम लोग हरिया को अगर कवर कर लेंगे ना और उसके पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से ट्रैजेक्टरी देख लेंगे कि वो वहाँ के लोगों पे, वहाँ के सराउंडिंग्स पे, वहाँ के
कौन
culture-
बना रहा है,
हाँ, वो किस तरह से शिफ्ट कर रहे हैं, बिकॉज इट इज नॉट जस्ट ह्यूमन हू इज ऑलवेज गिविंग मीनिंग टू एवरीथिंग, है ना। हम लोग ये बोल सकते हैं कि हम लोगों ने लाइट बनाया, हम लोगों ने लाइट बनाया, लेकिन ऐसे भी देखा जाता है कि नेचर इतना कंपल्सिव था कि हमें लाइट का इन्वेंशन करना पड़ा या फिर इलेक्ट्रिसिटी का इन्वेंशन करना पड़ा। तो उस सेंस में सब कुछ चेंज आता है कि हम नेचर को वो करें या फिर नेचर हमें करने को मजबूर कर रहे हैं सब चीज़ें।
ये बात हुई थी कि अल्कोहल और वायलेंस में बार बार यही हो रहा है कि कोई लिंक नहीं है, कोई लिंक नहीं है। व्हेन यू सेड दैट इज आल्सो नॉट कन्विंसिंग एंड यू सेड कि हाँ बट मैं बोल रही हूँ कि लिंक अल्कोहलिज्म है। सो आई जस्ट वांटेड टू आस्क कि हाउ आर यू डिफाइनिंग अल्कोहलिज्म?
Alcohol and generating something around alcohol, and the obvious difference is not hitting us, that here we are discussing alcohol, but we are using a term alcohol which is from elsewhere, and which then takes two forms. One, the alcoholic, which is a biomedical definition, somebody who drinks in the morning.
Someone who drinks in the morning.
In the morning is alcoholic and is an alcohol addict and needs to be taken for rehabilitation and de-addiction. So in a psychiatric ward, we would take this decision. And why did I say alcoholic and morning as so important? Because as far as I have understood, this drinking is always after sunset. Largely. It is rarely in the morning. Now explore it. Explore it. Two, if you say alcoholism, and I was not saying no to your formulation, I was only saying that we'll have to better it. That's all. That then we are using alcoholism like Marxism, as if an ideology circulating around alcohol, or as Ishita said, a way of life circulating around alcohol. But the problem is that way of life is not circulating around alcohol, perhaps it's circulating around Hariya, around Mahua, around many other things. Okay. So that then gives me a clue. And that is how I saw your work. And I'm actually seeing much of the work in this angle, that there are some paradigmatic developmental frameworks. One framework, SHG. Swarnima and Valerie are tracking that. Paradigmatic developmental framework, access to education. Gautam and Vijeta problematizing that. Got it? Anupa, I'll speak later. So we are actually trying to move the compass of the paradigmatic developmental framework. In that sense, what is the paradigmatic developmental framework? गांव में alcoholism है, there are alcoholic people, and then a dangerous stapling of alcohol and violence. ये जो जुड़ दिया गया, ठीक है, by some gender activists in Delhi.
So it was not something that just came from the top. It was somehow assimilated by the grassroots.
I'm coming to that. I'm coming to that. You know, that's my next point.
Yeah.
So now you have a paradigmatic women framework. ओके आदिवासी लोग अल्कोहलिक है, ज़्यादातर मेन अल्कोहलिक है, और मेन का अल्कोहलिज्म प्रॉब्लम वुमेन का अल्कोहल प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, ठीक? क्योंकि मेन अल्कोहलिज्म करके मारपीट करते हैं। एंड देयर हैज बीन फेमिनिस्ट वर्क टू शो दैट and then see a point was made over there to this corner. It was made between Deepika and Ishita. The point is then how to reach the experience of life. I'm not saying this. Like you do Chhana. Chhena book. Yes. So, like you do that, what it is to do that.
This is what it
And based on that, let us think of a transformative politics. A politics that is not a diktat from the Delhi headquarters of gender values,
But I think that
You know,
who know very little of English.
can I just say that? Because Anupta, this is what, the work on social life of marijuana. So it has now a different title now, but in the inside circles we still call it the social life of marijuana. One of my PhD cohorts has done, which actually shows this. That when the way in which, and he works on the idea of secrets, and he connects the idea of secrets to the social life, to the life of marijuana's life, and tries to map it through that what it is that makes marijuana a social secret, and what it is and this is where like Arpit was also making the same point.
Did you make it?
हाँ. Sorry. Because what like how the regulations around these commodities are framed is also very important. Like what is it makes us immediately think about age when it comes to drinking. Drinking water does not have an age, for God's sake, right? So
Under 21.
And by that logic, most of you shouldn't be drinking it. 25 is the age.
I have some.
Ishita Kairi.
So drinking, so I think what is, one hand the life of Hariya, attached with that is also, like, so you follow the object, this is called the following the biographies of the objects. Through that lens, like, where is the Hariya sold at what quarters of the village? And the production of the Hariya becomes extremely important because it's a community affair. So who is the distiller? Who is making it? Because, and what is the economy around it? What are the prices? Everything will become important because only when I have, is it a cash-based economy? I mean, am I paying money? Because Javed is sitting here now. Because, am I paying, what kind of money am I paying to Anubha? And can I afford that money to pay to Anubha or to Javed if I'm, buying from both of them? So it also depends on that, is it what kind of income do I have? And I think this is where, this is where the consumption of Hariya becomes important.
But you should have looking at that. Amit Ranjan Basu, you had a course with him. Amit has a beautiful paper written as a psychiatrist, not as an anthropologist, where he argues, he looks at how ganja became a drug.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And colonial medicine, how it converts ganja to a drug. No encouragement, anybody. So in that sense, you should have a student in Bunda.
Do you?
Have a student in Bunda? Really, you don't have, no? Nobody in Bunda is working with.
So, but she has a student in Mumbai. ऐसा भी लगा.
She has a student in Bunda. So I think
Yes.
Okay, I mean,
working through the question of Hariya and then come to alcohol, then come to violence. And can you reach there? Like, what is the, and I'm making a very crazy point. What is the, sometimes this question has to be asked, and we all know it's a wrong question. but it's good to ask it sometimes. What is the independent evaluation of the space with respect to the rights and wrongs of man? Let us not use an urban alcohol parameter to assess that space. By that, I have not said that's a good thing. That's not my point. But you may need a different assessment that needs to be brought in. And this is my 30-year-old difficulty with this alcoholism, violence connection that in India we have taken as bad. So when you take it a little there, it's a little bit like the Dekat work. That can I reach there, can I reach there? And obviously you can't fully reach there, but you always have to make that attempt to push yourself. Otherwise it's a very simple framework. That's what I have.
Actually, Imran, in one of the minutes he shared,
Is to say that I have a very obviously, and again not to say that is good, but I have a very different experience of Hadia in the past 2 years of teaching. Now, Amma has been somebody who makes Hadia every evening, and it's almost like a ritual to her. But this actually came across in the last immersion which he pointed out to me initially, that Hadia has is not about just alcoholism or alcohol as such. It's a very different connection with health. That in the village, actually which was mentioned to me, that the age actually decreases and death rate increases because बच्चों को generally in Jharkhand, in a lot of places, especially in my place of Shorli, छोटे होते से ही हड़िया खाने का that you make kids drink हड़िया. And according to some people that this also leads to कि जल्दी death हो जाता है. And यही वाला connection has been used for क्या कहते हैं by Gunaram, not only by Gunaram, about his father's death also. That उनको बीमारी हुआ था पर वो हड़िया बहुत पीते थे इसलिए भी जल्दी डेथ हो गई. So it's not just about violence, one thing. Secondly, obviously the main point which he has mentioned and elaborated properly, that especially in Jharkhand's context, it's a very reductive view to say that alcohol is hadiya.
Distinguishing the two is very important from that respect as well.
When we were talking about John's work also yesterday, and which I think personally, having read her writing, I also think that somewhere or the other, she's also not directly talking about the alcohol and violence or a connection so much. Exactly.
she's not.
Yeah, and I think that is the ambiguity. In that sense, you are also figuring out through your writing that what is this connection? Is there a connection at all? And which, when you say alcoholism, then I think I would actually agree with what Imran's point is, that you're talking about the reception of an alcoholic in that sense. That what happens when an alcoholic enters the house and something changes. And which we had a huge discussion during Anuva's work, when Anuva was discussing her work, कि ऐसा होता क्या है that उस movement के अंदर when somebody enters who is an alcoholic, things change. And next morning things again change. What happens in this transition? And this time change. And this idea कि किसने पी रखी है. And in that sense, I'm also thinking that is her work then around one, around alcohol, or two, around violence? Or in that sense, another way out, what he is saying, that experience of hadiya as a drink in itself. Because I'm thinking that in that way, there is no direct connection between alcohol and violence, first of all. Then, but her work also is probing the idea of what is the whole idea of violence that happens in the village all the time. And why was she taken out, or she wasn't allowed to stay there? So I'm just thinking that can either that angle, or is it about violence is the question?
Balance is the question. I just one line to add. It's actually
तो उसके बाद से उसका मतलब लंबा मतलब कभी वो फिर दोबारा नहीं आया, किसी को डरियाएगा या कुछ नहीं करेगा, ये हो गया. दूसरा है कि एक मतलब लोअर क्लास वहाँ पे दारू पी रहा है और वहाँ पे कुछ नहीं बोलेगा, बीच में वो जाएगा किसी को अपने मतलब लेवल का है उसको गरिया वगैरह दिया और घर पे गया और बीवी को पीट दिया. तो इस तरह से है आप तो जिस तरह से आप ले सकते हैं।
आप सब लोग बोल रहे हो ना, I could not make myself understand first thing. तो मैं जो बोलना चाह रही हूँ वो चीज़ कहीं पे भी नहीं आई. I think I have to write one more paper and then शायद हो गई.
Talk about it.
If we are not understanding.
Domestic violence का तो first I'm using it as an example. Violence in that मतलब forget alcohol and violence. क्या ऐसी सिचुएशन हो सकती है कि जहाँ पे I don't know, I cannot, I'll write and then I'll say. बस ये दो चीज़ बोला था बात.
Let's think again. Why did she not live in the village? Why was she not allowed to stay in the village? The question, she's reached alcoholism because of the presence of violence that is so there are two steps. She's saying that there is violence in the village. Every woman who has spoken to her, and when she spoke to me, she also told me the instances कि वो कितना present है कि वो वहाँ पे रह भी नहीं सकती. It's not just a question of people asking her to not live there. It's also her own, that I can't stay in such a situation where there is perpetual violence that is taking place. That is step one. Step two is that when she tried to understand, ask women, the narrative is saying that it's a constructed thing, but she's saying that कि alcoholism लोग बोल रहे हैं कि justification है या उसका reason है, but when she's presenting it, she's saying कि वो नहीं है. ठीक है? So this is step two. We don't know. That's why I'm asking her. Step one is that she's saying there's presence of violence. Step two, she's saying that violence and alcoholism are seeming to be connected, but they are not.
In the narrative of it.
These. Third, where I think Roshan made a very important point which we missed, is that when he's saying that, so ये सिर्फ हमारे लिए realization नहीं है कि alcoholism या हड़िया अब हम बोल रहे हैं, तो हड़िया और violence के बीच में क्या रिश्ता नहीं है, कैसे रिश्ता नहीं है, but ये realization हमें वहाँ लेके जाना पड़ेगा कि अगर ये कंस्ट्रक्ट हुआ है, अगर अब सबको ये बिलीव करता है कि मेरा पति मुझे इसलिए मारता है क्योंकि वो होश में नहीं था, या पति ये बोलता है कि मैंने इसलिए मार दिया क्योंकि मैं होश में नहीं था, ये हमारे इस रूम के लिए इम्पोर्टेंट नहीं है, बिकॉज हम ये जानते हैं, ये उस कॉन्टेक्स्ट के लिए इम्पोर्टेंट है. Women there need to understand, या men there need to understand that alcoholism is not, or हड़िया consumption is not a justification for any kind of violence. And then fourth is where my question stands, that what do you want to work on?
Then to is clear.
She has to say.
No, I'm saying it's clear in this line of logic.
At each other, जो भी women थी, they were looking at each other's face, and जब मैं जबरदस्ती जैसे भी कह के हमारे घर में रखने के लिए हो गया फाइनली. जब मैं शाम को गई हूँ गांव में, तो और वैसे भी तो एक दीदी मुझे बोलती है कि हम भी आपको रख लेते लेकिन मेरा पति मतवार है, मतलब बहुत पीता है और नहीं रखना चाहते. लेकिन जब उन दीदी के साथ जिनके साथ मैं एक दिन गई हूँ उनसे बात हुई है, तो वो बोल रही थी कि बहुत दिक्कत है, आप दिल्ली से आए हैं और पता नहीं आपका खाने का बहुत हाई फाई कुछ होगा, और इस वजह से सब लोग बहुत अनमने मन से थे कि हम नहीं रखना चाहते हैं, पता नहीं कुछ रख पाएंगे नहीं रख पाएंगे, रोपाई का सीजन है ये वो. दिस इज वन एग्जाम्पल आई एम सेइंग कि हर सिचुएशन के पीछे जो एकदम से मजे से आके बोल देते कि हाँ पिए हुए है या फिर ये रीजन है, आई एम सेइंग कि उसके पीछे कुछ और भी हो सकता है.
Is that what you
Let